I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. As I say, what's up, peoples? How you doing? Oh my gosh. Okay, I am going to just go through the whole spiel. You get us everywhere. Okay, but we got to get into this show because this is like one of the topics that I have been talking about on my women's channel. It is diabetes, pre-diabetes, high blood pressure, and all the rest of the little things that we are plagued with, where we could probably change some things. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I did, and I hope you can too. So I have a doctor. That's right, a doctor. And we're going to talk about something that helps people with chronic disease like diabetes, high blood pressure, and their battle with food, decrease medication, and reverse disease. Yes. Oh, okay. Did I get too excited? I want to welcome the doctor to the show. Welcome to the show, girlfriend. How you doing?
Hi. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. So, we already had our laugh earlier. Just don't tell nobody about that, okay?
My lips are sealed.
Okay, so just go ahead and tell everybody about yourself.
So I'm Dr. Michele Martin Johnson. So my married name is Johnson, and I am the founder of More Food, Less Medicine. And we help people with chronic diseases get off medication, reverse diseases with simple food. And so our goal is to get 10,000 people off of medication or decreasing medication with simple food.
I like that. Simple food like fudge?
Simple food like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, lentils, natural foods, yes. But you can have fudge sometimes.
Okay, sometimes. Okay, I'm just playing with you. You know that. Wow. So, all right. So, why this? Was this something that you thought of when you first started? When you first thought that you were going to, I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to work on this, or was it something progressive?
Well, when I went through medical school and residency, what I found is that a lot of people are struggling with chronic diseases. So diabetes, high blood pressure, those are the things that we're seeing over and over again. And especially during this pandemic, one of the things that we started to realize is that these pre-existing conditions could mean that you are not going to have a very good outcome. And so this is something that is really near and dear to my heart. As African American, I have family members who have high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, and really knowing that food can help change these things and change the course of your life is really something that I think people need to understand and really make it very simple.
What you talking about, Willis? I had to say that. Anyway, no, but seriously, I mean, you are so right. I mean, we're all sitting at home. At least we were. But now we're all going out and getting COVID and coming back home. So, I mean, but no, seriously, I hope nobody gets COVID. I've had too many of my friends, and my father passed away from COVID last year. So I'm trying to make light of the situation because it's just so dark. It's just so heavy. And diabetes is so bad too. Heart disease. How many of these things can be prevented?
So there is a lot of research out there. So when I first started, one of the things that really piqued my interest was the Rice House down in North Carolina. It was started by Dr. Walter Kepner in the 1930s. He actually used simple foods to reverse diabetes, reverse kidney disease, reverse high blood pressure. And I was so impressed that someone could use just natural foods to take people off medication. And then you see it kind of reproduced in the literature. So Dr. T. Colin Campbell, in addition to Dr. Esselstyn, these are people who are showing that we can use food to reverse things like heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes.
No fudge.
So I am a big believer that
I love fudge.
It's a balance. I think a lot of things are all about balance.
Yes. Definitely. So we were talking about this earlier, and you said that, and I said that, okay, I said that I got a box of fudge, which if I were to at least take this much, you see that? That little tiny, you see that?
I can't.
That's all I need.
I can't see it.
I can't see that. Hold on. Here, right there. If I could just take a little sliver of that thin of a piece of fudge, I think my fudge is gonna last me about a year, unless it grows algae, and it becomes like this big fur ball. But I really just want a taste. I don't want a whole thing. I just want I want to satisfy that craving, and usually a thin slice, and I'm done for like maybe 1 or 2 days. I might go back to it 2 or 3 days later, and
Mhm.
sometimes I don't. Is that okay?
I
Okay.
tell my patients it's all about balance. So it's not
Mm.
about eating the whole box of fudge in one sitting, but if you're taking a small amount, then that is fine. I usually recommend that people take a little bit of a break. Maybe you plan, but make sure you plan it out. It's not helpful that you are kind of eating out of the box. You're just rushing to get into it. One of the things is that we talk about the feast is in the first bite. So really enjoy that first bite of food, because as you eat the same food over and over again, you actually get decreasing returns. It doesn't taste as good as the first bite. The other thing with the amount of fudge, I would say that if you're going to eat something sweet, there's something called the circadian rhythm. You want to make sure that you eat that earlier on in the day. So not
Mm.
right, not at nighttime. Really about 10 o'clock, our bodies are kind of settling down, start burning fat. Every time you eat something later than 7, it pushes that fat burning ability later on in the evening. So you're losing that
Mm.
time to burn fat. So if you can do it before 7, preferably earlier in the day, would be helpful to have that fudge. So that way your body doesn't have a hard time burning it off.
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
I
I'm
need
sorry.
a fudge break.
I need a fudge break. It's 6 before 7.
It is. It is. Yes. The other.
Oh no.
No, no. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just playing around with you. But it's true. It's like, okay. So I mean, that brings up another question. Okay, because I was pre-diabetic, like I said, and I
Mhm.
get my numbers down. Hallelujah. Okay,
Yes.
food and fasting and all that good stuff.
Yes.
And I only eat maybe one big meal a day. It
Uh,
depends on how hungry I am after I do my intermittent fasting, whether I do it earlier in the day or later.
mhm.
But most of the day, I want fruit. Is it okay to eat a piece of fruit, maybe some strawberries after 7 or closer to 10? Is that going to hinder our digestion and our fat burning too? Or is it a meal?
So typically, it's just any food that you're actually taking in. So I usually say a hard stop at 7 o'clock or 4 hours before you go to bed if you're working like shift work. So a hard stop at 7 o'clock. If you have to have something after 7 o'clock, fruit is a good option. That's okay. But you can also do something that like sugar snap peas. If you want to do something that doesn't have as much sugar in it, but I would still recommend like a hard stop at 7 o'clock. But again, there's nothing, you don't have to be perfect. I
Mhm.
always look at like an 80-20 rule. If you're a good 80% of the time, you can have a snack or something out of your norm 20% of the time and still have a benefit.
Wow. Because I like a handful of walnuts. I don't like to go to bed with my stomach growling because then I
Mhm.
can't sleep.
Okay, nuts are actually a great option, especially if you want to eat later on in the evening.
Hmm.
And the nuts are a good food because they have anti-inflammatory properties. They do have some protein, and so if you have to have something, nuts are a good option too.
I like that because I'm a nut. So
So
pretty.
nuts are very good. You typically, if you're trying to lose weight, we usually recommend keeping your nuts to about an ounce of nuts a day. But if you're
Hmm.
not trying to lose weight, more is fine.
Right. Yeah. No, I just get a handful. I have some walnuts in a jar, and at nighttime, if I get really hungry and I don't feel like going, I just grab a few and eat them, and then I'm good.
That's fine. That
I'm good
actually
to
is
go.
fine.
Yeah, I'm good to go because I'm already nutty, so don't need no more nuts. So on the serious side, though, what can people do to begin that journey of healing their bodies?
Yes. So one of the things that I realized for myself is I realized that there's so much information out there, and it's very hard to kind of decipher what is true and what is helpful. So for myself, I studied obesity medicine. I got board certified, and after helping hundreds of patients lose weight, this is what I found. And I created an acronym. It's called PEACE, and it's PEACE, PEACE. And so the first P is plants. So you really want to get a lot of plants in your mouth. So fruits, vegetables, those are things that we don't want to worry about counting calories. If you're hungry, go ahead and have those things. Um, when we talk about African Americans, and there was a study, we looked at 50,000 African Americans, and if you are able to get 2 or more vegetables in your life every single day, it decreases your risk of breast cancer. In addition, If you are premenopausal, broccoli actually helps decrease your risk a lot more. And then women across the board, looking at things like collard greens, getting those things in is very helpful. Um, and we don't get a lot of variety in our diet for a lot of us. Most Americans were eating canned tomatoes, potatoes, and iceberg lettuce. That's how much we're getting in terms of greens. But if we were to add in two different fruits or vegetables every single day, it decreases our risk for diabetes 8%. So getting variety is a really helpful thing. Um, what you want to do also is eating as close to nature as possible. So when you're eating different types of food, you want to make sure that you're avoiding things that are processed, things that come in packages. So eating as close to nature as possible. You can grab an apple, eat it, your spinach, eat it. Those things are absolutely fine. Um, avoiding addictive substances like sugar, oil, salt, excessive oil. You want to make sure you avoid those things. Again, you usually find those things in packaged food. And then C, you want to make sure that you cook at home. If you can cook at home, you can probably decrease a lot of the extra sugar, oil, and salt. And then you can actually make the food the way that you like it. The next thing is E. So ending your eating at 7 o'clock or 4 hours before you go to bed. Again, when we talk about the way that your body doesn't expect that it should have food in the middle of the night. You're not built for that. So your body starts to rest and starts to digest at nighttime. So ending your eating at 7 p.m. is
You heard me
always
right
very
there.
helpful. Yes.
I have to take a break for a second. I'll be right back. It's fudge time.
But you are also doing these things because you're doing kind of intermittent fasting. So that's kind of the same thing where you stop eating for a certain window of time, allowing your body to digest the food and regenerate. So you're doing those things.
And you know, my fasting time starts at 10. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, most of the time I do stop before then, but my fasting is a cutoff at 10. But usually I don't get to sleep until like 12 because I'm always working. So yeah, but there have been times where I stopped eating at like 5 because I ate such like avocado and something really, really fattening where I just was not hungry. So I mean, does it all depend on what you eat too?
So it also there's a couple of things. I still recommend stopping at about 4 hours before you go to bed because no matter what you eat, your body still has to digest it.
Hmm.
So I think it's a simple, easy way to look at it to say, okay, well, I am going to stop eating 4 hours before I go to bed. Um, and what time do you typically start eating again? Are you starting eating again at?
Well, that all depends on when I remember to eat. Because I'm drinking water all day, all day, all
Hmm.
day, that I forget, oh, I haven't eaten. And then I'll go ahead and eat. And sometimes it'll be early in the morning if I cut off really, really early the day before. So
Hmm.
if I cut off early the day before, I'll start eating it at 10 or 11 o'clock. To me, that's early. But most of the time, I'm not going to lie to you, I'll eat late or I'll eat some cherries or something, go to bed late, wake up, drink, 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 drink. 4 o'clock. Oh, I forgot to
Yes.
eat. And I just drink all day. I don't drink any sodas. I don't drink
Hmm.
juices. I just drink like I love water with ice in it. And I'll just drink all day. And I have this huge thing. I drink. And I forget that I have to eat. So that's me.
And so again, everyone is different. What we do find, so I've struggled with nighttime eating, and what we do find is that when there's kind of a couple of principles with nighttime eating. For me, what I recommend is if you start eating earlier, so making sure you get your breakfast typically before 9 o'clock. If you start eating later, you typically are going to kind of fall into the evening time and have a longer time. Um, a longer period before you get a break from eating. So I typically say before 9 a.m., try to get your breakfast in. The other thing that's also really helpful for people is if they get something that is crunchy at lunchtime. So if you want to do your walnuts at lunchtime or putting on top of something like tortilla strips or something is fine to get some crunch. an apple is really good at lunchtime to kind of help with that nighttime eating. And then having a routine that you cut things at 9 a.m. and then having, and again, everyone is different, right? So you have nurses and doctors who work shift work, who work different times, and so what works well for your schedule. But it's good that you have a period where you eat and a period where you don't eat. So that is flexible.
Awesome. Yeah, no, because I work so late, usually 9:30, I'm getting up and I'm getting started. But it depends on what time I went to sleep the night before too, because sometimes I go to sleep early. So I mean, it all depends. But at 9 o'clock, I'm not hungry. I'm mostly thirsty.
So the other thing that you could do, and this again, so everyone is different. You eat when you feel like you're ready to eat. So I would recommend, if
That's
you
what I
say,
do.
if you feel like, what, I am doing really well, I don't do a lot of nighttime eating, then eat when you feel like you are hungry. But if you are finding that you're eating late at night every single night, you might benefit from trying to eat before 9 or 9:30 in the morning and seeing if that can actually push your eating earlier in the day.
No, I don't really eat too much at night. Like I said, if I get hungry, it's very rare. I've had those jar of walnuts now. They're probably expired. They still taste good though. I mean, okay, if they're not growing anything green and fuzzy, I'm okay with that.
That is
But
fun.
they still taste good, so I'm still good. I'm still good. But mostly, I don't eat after like 9, and that's very rare. And if I did, I just grab that nuts, and I'm good to go. And then I just drink a lot of water, just a lot of water.
And again, so everyone is different. I always say, so when we have patients who are losing weight, I always say switch it up a little bit. So if you get to a point where you say, hey, I want to do something else, or I've hit a plateau, usually people are going to hit a plateau at about 25, 30 pounds when they start losing weight, and then switch it up a little bit. So either adding some physical activity or changing the timing of your eating is very helpful to kind of get you over some of these plateaus, if that is the case for you.
Yeah, I hate plateaus. Yeah, I've hit a few. I've hit a few. But I mean, we all have our thing. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So, peace, it's plants, 2 fresh veggies every day, or, no cans, no processed, low salt. And then E is ending at 7. And I won't say the next one because we already know what I put there. Shh.
So I would say even with plants, like if you like, and sometimes it's really difficult for people to get plants in their life.
Mhm.
If you do have to get canned, then make sure it just has no salt in it. If
Gotcha.
in terms of levels, like it's fresh and then frozen and then canned. So if you have to get canned, just make sure it has no salt in it, and that's fine.
Wonderful. I love to get the coleslaw bags,
Hmm.
the organic coleslaw,
Yeah.
where it says coleslaw, but there's no coleslaw dressing in there. And I just put whatever dressing I want, and I put my food on top of it. So I might put some beans on top of
Hmm.
that, or I might eat it with like a piece of a veggie burger or something.
Yeah.
That's really, to me, it's so, so good. I might put a little Caesar dressing on there. And then I'm gone. I'm like, my husband's like, I never heard somebody crunch so loud. I'm like, I just love the coleslaw package bag with all of the cabbage in it. I love it.
That is a great way to get some extra vegetables in. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got all the different, and there's some kale salad bags too that you can get that are organic, and you don't need to use the dressing.
Yeah.
Again, you could just get this, and that gives you like all your kale. It has
Yeah.
cabbage in there. It's got the green romaine. It's got the spinach. It's got everything in there. And I mean, you just get it and dump it on your plate. So my plate looks about 75% veggies
Hmm.
and 25% whatever else I want. And sometimes I don't even have whatever else I want. I just have veggies.
Yeah,
So,
and those things you want to make sure you get all your nutrients through the day. So you want to make sure
mhm.
that you are getting a balance of different foods too. But usually, I do find that most people have an issue with getting in the veggies. And what you're talking about is an amazing way to get veggies in. I also recommend getting. People don't want to hear this. Getting the veggies in at breakfast. So even if you add a salad at breakfast, it is very helpful to you.
Oh, and very filling, and you will be regular.
Yes. Which is actually you're correct. So one of the biggest things with adding more plants in, you want to you decrease your risk for colon cancer. So these are
Hmm.
things that we do forget, that there are all these benefits to adding in plants into our life.
Definitely, definitely. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, what is A?
Oh, so A is avoiding addictive substances.
Okay,
So excessive salt, oil, or sugar. Yes.
I'm typing that in.
Mhm.
Avoiding addictive subs.
Substances like salt, oil, and sugar. So a lot of times we put uh, we we what we see is a lot of times patients come in and say, "Oh, I have high blood pressure," and then they take away the salt that they cook at home with. But most of the salt that
Mm,
we get, it comes from packaged foods or foods from outside.
right,
So when you are leading us to see, when you cook at home, you decrease that extra salt, oil, and sugar
right.
that comes in from someone else deciding how much salt goes in your food, how much sugar goes in your food, how much oil
Yeah.
goes in your food.
Yeah. I've seen that like on the side of the packages, I'm very conscious of what's in the nutrients on the side of the package. And I'll see like 400 and some odd milligrams per tiny little patty. I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
that little patty is worth a lot of salt.
Yes, that's true.
That's like salt patty. It's not like a patty. So I try to avoid that. I stay under at least 100 milligrams because I know that what is it, 1,000 or something milligrams equals 1 gram. You're only supposed to have like 2,000. What is it?
Yes,
Milligrams of or something of salt a day. I forget what it is,
that's
milligrams or
correct.
grams.
2,000 milligrams was equal to 2 grams. So
Right.
2,000 milligrams per day of sodium. Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're not supposed to go above that. But I mean, literally, a meal at McDonald's will put you above and beyond and into tomorrow.
This is true. So, so if you're staying with the recommendation to stay under 2,000 milligrams or 2 grams of sodium, one of the easy ways to add this in is when you look at a label, really quick and easy. When you look at the label, I don't have anything with me here, but the label will have the calories at the top, and then they'll have the milligrams of sodium. And what you want to look for is to make sure that the milligrams of sodium is smaller than the amount of
I can't.
calories.
You can't see that because it's like in the thing. Let me switch my camera up, and then that way people can see it. So keep talking. Just
Yeah,
keep
so
talking.
you just want to make sure that when you look at the total calories and you look at your sodium, make sure that your total milligrams of sodium are less than the amount of calories per
Mhm.
serving. So what the nutrition label is based off is about 2,000 calories per day. And so if you are taking in, let's say something has 100 calories and the sodium content is 300 milligrams, you want
Mhm.
to avoid that food. I don't know if
So
you can.
this one here is some organics. It's Newman's Own peppermint.
Mhm.
So if you're looking at the sodium, what does that say there?
So the sodium says 0 milligrams, right? And then
Aha.
what you would look at is the total calories, which are 10. And
Hmm.
though, so as long as your sodium milligrams are below your total calories, then that food is a good food to have to stay below your number of sodium grams.
Hmm.
So you would typically never go over your 2,000 milligrams of sodium because your calories are based on 2,000 calories.
There you go.
So
See,
it's a quick and
that's a
easy way.
good.
Yeah,
This is not a food though; it's a mint.
it's a
But
mint.
you know,
It's,
but I really really truly think that we need to be more conscious of
mhm.
what we're seeing and what we're not seeing. Because I mean,
Yeah,
it'd be like, oh, I don't care. I'm just going to eat that. But at the end of the day, your body does care.
that's
So you
true.
have to take care of your body. So definitely, definitely. So I just wanted to go ahead and do that. Okay, so let me get back to where we were because we were talking about peace.
Mhm.
Talking about peace. So we are avoiding addictive substances. What about ice cream?
So ice cream is a trifecta of all of those three. So sugar, oil, sugar, fat, and salt. Yes. So it's not surprising that we love it a lot because it has all the things that are very addictive. So again, I believe that we should be able to enjoy certain things, but just not all the time. So, if you're doing well 80% of the time, so what we do with my family, what we'll do is we are very strict 5 days a week. And then, like maybe on Saturday, we might have a meal where we say, okay, we're not going to be as picky, and it's fine. So
Mhm.
when we go to work, it's fine. We know exactly what we're going to eat. We plan our meals. We cook at home. And if on one day that we decide to enjoy life, that's okay. You don't. You're here to enjoy life.
I have to say this. I have to say this. I thought I could. I can't. Because I mean literally if I have one scoop of ice cream, I'm set back about 72 hours. Because I feel it. It's like, okay, my stomach goes, and I mean everything else just goes, and I gained 2 pounds with like just a little bit of ice cream. I can't do it. I can It takes me 3 days to get back to where I was 3 days prior when I do that.
And what I would say with those things, also listening to your body, there's certain things that you may not be able to eat anymore. There's certain things I can't eat anymore. It doesn't. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the way I feel after I eat it, and I just don't eat it anymore.
Okay,
So,
no.
and I think that that's okay. You, as you mature, you listen to your body a lot more, and there are things that maybe I could eat when I was 20 that I can't eat now, and that's okay. That's fine. Um,
I like what she said. She says we're getting mature.
we are.
Oh gosh, I'm so silly. All right, so we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna go to C, right? So we're at C for peace. C.
Yeah, so C is cook at home.
Oh
So
goodness gracious, you just said it. Cook at home. That it can be good, but sometimes it's not so good because cooking at home. I mean, I you ever ate at my mother's house?
what do
My
you
mom can
mean?
cook, boy. I be like, boom, boom, boom. Cook at home. I don't know about that. I
So
don't know.
when we cook at home, so when we cook at home, especially when we're cooking plants at home, we don't. I don't recommend counting calories at all when we talk about plants. But when you are cooking at home and you're making your own beans, you're not putting as much sodium in as
Hmm.
a can of beans. If you
Right.
are cooking, if you decide that you want to, we make our own like popsicles at home for our kids. And so we
Hmm.
know what goes in there for our family. So you just want to
Hmm.
make sure that if you decide to make a change in terms of getting healthier, what you want to look for is how can I make this thing at home? One, it's cheaper, but two, you can make it to your taste. And if you decide to have something else that you don't want to cook at home that tastes better outside,
Hmm.
then that is okay because most of your meals are made at home. That's okay. And if you're not cooking with things like excessive salt or sugar, then you can have food that fills you up and you're not starving.
Mm. Okay. Starving is not good. Definitely not good. No starving. But cooking at home is not always good either. But you got to be careful, right? I mean, like you said, cooking plants and all that stuff. But usually when okay, I'm not. I'm just gonna go there. Like
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go there, okay? Because us black people, we have cookouts.
yeah.
And the cookout has got like potatoes, like potato salad and ribs and black was it was it black eyed peas with okay, we go in there with some cornbread and we just gone. And you got like a whole plethora of food on your plate. Then you go back for seconds because you couldn't eat all of it the first time around. You just got to go back and get a little bit more of everything else. That's not good.
So this is the other thing that I say. I also think you should make your home or your kitchen like a sanctuary in terms of certain things just don't come into your home, right? So it's even with myself and during like my journey, I always
Mhm.
say that it's not that I had one cookout. It's not that I had, it wasn't Christmas and Thanksgiving that caused the problem. It was the fact that I was doing it consistently that causes the
Mm.
issue. So one of the things that you want to say is, hey, like when we are in our home, we don't bring ice cream in here. We don't bring cookies in here. We don't bring chips or any of those things here. But when we are at home, this is what we eat. And when we go out, we say, okay, well, this I can only eat so much in one sitting. And then you go right back to, and I always tell my patient that this thought that we do not have the ability to enjoy life and we can have a little bit of something here, a little bit of something there, I think is what causes this constant like yo-yo of,
Mm.
oh, I'm perfect today and I'm not perfect tomorrow, so everything
Right.
is out the window. I would say that if you say, you know what, and I bring my lunch, I do my breakfast, I do my dinners, 5 or 6 days per week, that one cookout not going to uh, is not going to ruin your entire lifestyle change.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you're right. You know what I do, if I may be so bold as to say, is I go through every pot of stuff I like and I get one spoonful.
Mhm.
And I slow down when I'm eating. So I might have 10 different things on that one plate. And I eat a spoonful of everything. That way I enjoy it, but I don't overindulge. So, and it makes me feel kind of good to do that.
I think that's a great idea. And what I also tell my patients is that before you go anywhere, get your salad in, get your leafy greens in. Because if you eat your salad, if you eat a salad, soup, or fruit before you go somewhere, or you can do all three, then you're going to eat less. Your body typically, your stomach only holds so much, and we usually eat about the same volume of food every single day. So if you can fill up before you get to a cookout or to an outing or to a restaurant, that will help you make better decisions when you are eating out. But yeah, eat before you eat.
Yeah, just don't do it on Thanksgiving, guys.
No, eat before you eat on Thanksgiving too.
It's so funny. Everybody's like, I haven't eaten all day, so you better bring it.
No, no, no. Eat before. Eat before.
Yeah, she's right. Eat before. Definitely eat before. And do the one spoonful thing. It's gonna really make you feel better afterwards, man. I tell you, but everybody's like, I didn't eat all day. You better bring it. You better have
No.
all that. But no, okay, so we can't do that no more, guys. We are maturing. Girl, I'm having so much fun. Oh, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it, you
No,
guys.
thank you. I'm really
Everybody.
enjoying this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we got one more letter to go. What is that last letter?
So end your eating at 7 p.m. or 4 hours before you go to bed. So as we talked about before, your body is on a rhythm. So your body kind of wakes up at a certain time, you go to bed at a certain time, or you should go to bed at a certain time. And these are things that are set in us. And so what we call the circadian rhythm, and your body's ability to burn food, to break down food decreases as it gets darker, right? And so if you are eating the same meal at 8 o'clock at night, as opposed to 8 o'clock in the morning, your body is less able to handle it, and you are more likely to have a shoot up of your glucose or a spike of your sugar, right? And so you want to make sure that you are getting in most of your food earlier on in the day, just because that's the way that your body is normally able to handle nutrients in food. When you're eating at 8, 9, 10, 12 o'clock at night, your body is not able to handle that, and you will start to have issues with weight, in addition to um, higher risk for diabetes and glucose intolerance.
Mm, mm. Y'all, we got some work to do.
But
But in all seriousness, I mean, it can be done. It has been done, and we can do it. It just takes time. I mean, I've seen so many people beat themselves down because they couldn't get it in the first 2 days, and it just doesn't happen like that.
no, and I definitely agree that it's really about taking time. I think looking at saying this is what I would like to. This is the way I want my life to look. It's not trying to rush and get to a goal within a day or two or three. You are trying to make changes that you can sustain. And so I always say, if you are not planning to do this for the rest of your life, then you shouldn't do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not something that you can hold on to and continue for the rest of your life, it's not something that you should say is sustainable.
Right.
So make little changes that you say, hey, I'm going to walk for an extra 5 minutes this week. I'm not a walk for 10 minutes every single day. And if you can do that, great. And then add more on. If you want to add a salad at breakfast, that's fine. And then if you say, I can do it for the rest of my life, then that's okay. But when we do these things that are fad diets, it's not really healthy for you, but also it's not sustainable.
Right. Wow. Well, doctor, thank you so much. I had such a fun time, and we learned that my mints are the best. Just saying. And that we're all maturing. I have to talk to, hold on a second. I have to do this. You're not getting old. You're maturing. I like that. I like that. Because everybody's like, don't get old. It's so bad.
Getting older is a blessing. So
Yes.
it's always a good thing.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate you. I appreciate I mean, and just all of the things that we went over, really do make a difference. And if the people have any questions, can they contact you?
Yeah, so you can also visit my website. It's drmichelejohnson.com. So 1L in Michelle. You can also follow me on YouTube, Dr. Michele Johnson. So if anyone has any concerns or questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Awesome. I love it. Dr. Man, I tell you, I had such a wonderful time. It was so much fun. And so we all know that I'm wrong. And that I should be waking up earlier.
No, I think you're doing very well. And the fact that you were actually able to reverse your pre-diabetes, those are the things that I love to hear. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I didn't think I was like, oh, I'm losing weight. The scale was going in my favor for a change. I was like, oh, yeah. So again, I want to thank you, Dr. Michele Johnson. She is amazing. If you have any questions about prediabetes, diabetes, high blood pressure, any other chronic illness, just get in contact with her. Her website is right there. See that? It's right there. Dr. Michele Johnson with 1L. And we will have all of that information in the description box below. If you're listening to this on any podcast, please comment, follow. You have any questions, you can always put it here right below where you're watching or where you're listening, and we will get right back to you. If I don't know it, she does. I'm going to put it on her anyway. So, okay. Doctor, thank you so much. Again, I had such a wonderful time. Such a pleasure.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. And don't forget to dare to be different. I dare to be different.